There it is. I've finally got my hands on the DJI Mavic 3 so I can finally have all my questions answered to see just how good this thing is. Okay, so before we get into it, I just want to explain that this video has been sponsored by the Drone Safe store down in West Sussex. It's run by Mark and Tom Boyd, who I've known for over 6 years, and I have to say they've got one of the largest collections of DJI drones, cameras, lenses, accessories, bags, you name it, they've got it there. Now, I actually said to Mark at Drone Safe, I'm going to rent one of these to actually review as soon as I can get hold of one. He said, come and grab this one, take it away, see what you think. He knows I'm going to be honest about everything. So I drove down there, went into the store. They've just got shelves and shelves of DJI gear and it's brilliant. So if you were to buy anything from the store, you're very welcome to go in there. They welcome you with open arms and a cup of coffee. So go in there, sit down, talk about what you want, talk about what you need. They'll even take you out and try the drone out. They'll fly it with you, give you some hints on safety tips and things like that, how you can get involved, how you can get started, how you can get trained up to be a professional pilot if you wish. But they're really good and their support is fantastic as well. They've been known to stay up till 9 p.m. helping clients out, so you're always going to have help on the end of the phone. Okay, so check it out. The website address is on the page now, and it's also in the links down below, so please go and check them out. Okay, so this is the drone. As soon as I got it out, I had one of my suspicions not confirmed, but actually negated. A lot of people said that the build quality isn't that good. And to be honest with you, I think it's amazing. It's brilliant. I love the look of it. I'm not just saying this, so I'm just got to explain something. I actually killed my DJI Inspire 1 last December. I've waited 11 months to see this when it came out. I've been expecting big things, and so this had quite a lot to live up to. But my point with this whole review is that the DJI Inspire 1 was pretty much a full manual kind of setup. They had no obstacle avoidance on it. It had no fancy gimmicks, gizmos, no flying automation. So it's really down to the skilled operator. And I flew it for 6 years and I got to know how to actually use the sticks to control the drone. I never used any automation, so I got quite good at actually doing the nice sweeping maneuvers. In fact, I could use both sticks and control the camera at the same time. I never needed a second camera op. So I know how to fly drones. So when this came out, I'm not fussed about all the automation things. So I'm not going to talk about a lot of the things that are due in January. I just hope that they do come out and they've got things like waypoints. So I'll do another review when all of those have come out. What I want to do now is try and match this to the DJI Inspire 1. So all I'm interested in at the moment is the quality from the big camera, so the 5K footage. I want to know that it flies well, and also want to know that the photos are good with this M3 4 3/3 sensor. So that's really all I'm interested in now. I know there's some issues that people have talked about online, but I'm going to do this from myself, from the jobs I do as a professional filmmaker and photographer. So it's going to be down to me, what I would use this for, and then possibly what you would use it for as well. So my first impressions were, I think it's a really good looking drone. It's beautiful. I love the gunmetal grey with the black on the back, the black camera. It's really well designed. People have talked about the legs being kind of easily breakable, but when you get hold of it, when you actually get it in your hand, they're pretty strong. Whatever it's made of, it's good. It doesn't feel at all like it's going to break or anything. It's got really solid movements and everything. So with regards to build quality, it's beautiful. Now, the funny thing is, as soon as you take the battery out, this becomes really light. In fact, I think the battery and the drone weigh almost the same. If not, the battery's slightly heavier than the drone. So it's quite amazing. This is really light. This is where all the weight comes from. And that's what's going to power this to get some decent flight times. So before I go any further, let's just look at the rest of the family. So here we are. I haven't got the Inspire because it's currently in a bin somewhere because it got trashed on an advert I was filming. Wasn't due to flying error. It actually got wet out at sea with salt water, damaged it completely, and it was irreplaceable, which is why I've been waiting for this. So what we got here, I've flown a lot of DJI drones. I love the company. I think they produce some stunning kit, and they're very, very robust and reliable. So here we've got the Mini 2, which is weighs about the same as our hamster. It's tiny, it's brilliant, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant little drone. Films amazing 4K footage. I've done roof surveys with this, with the photography. So for me, that is always going to stay with me, a brilliant camera. And then we've got the DJI Air 2. So I've got the filter on there. That's a great camera. I've used that on a couple of huge, huge jobs. I think in one job I took about 6,000 photos. And I flew about 24 kilometers on one job. So it was a huge, huge job. And it got wet, got rained on, just lived up to it, absolutely fantastic. This is the Air 2S, which again, it's got now a 1-inch sensor, so it's fantastic for photography, really good video quality at 5.4K, absolutely love that. This is the original Mavic Pro, so it's the very first one that came out, and you can see how tiny the camera is there. Again, it was a kind of groundbreaking video drone when it came out, so that's got a good place in the history of DJI. Then you've got the Mavic 2 Enterprise. This one, you can stick things on top. You've got your lights you can put on there, loudspeakers, really good industrial kind of drone. And then you've got obviously the Mavic 3 here. So you can see that the size compared to the two original Mavics, it's slightly bigger than the original Mavic. So it's not a huge difference, which is good. You want to keep them kind of compact and easy to carry around. And compared to the Enterprise, pretty much the same sort of size, same sort of weight. So, you know, this is a really good lineup of drones. And my favourites are the Mini 2, the Air 2S and the Mavic 3. I think they're just amazing drones. So let's get into talking about what this thing can do now, and then we'll have a look at some footage. Okay, so the chances are you've already seen all the videos on this. You've watched the previews, the reviews, seen the rumours. You've watched people with all versions of this drone, so I'm not going to go massively into that. All I'm interested in is the video quality, the stills quality, and the image and stills, the video and stills quality at night. The thing about these drones, all DJI drones, is they're reliable. You can throw it in the sky, fly it as far as you like, and you know it's going to come back. It's got just about everything. I feel so secure. So when I first got this, I think it was about 7 or 8 o'clock at night when I got home with it, and I thought I'm going to go straight out and do some night stuff. I trusted DJI, so I basically put it on the ground, flew it around the harbour, and that was it. I felt really confident this was going to work out the box, and I'm glad it did. It comes with the standard DJI controller, which you get with the Mini 2 and the Mavic Air 2S, which some people have complained about. I'm used to it. Again, I'm a manual person, so I just use the basic functions of any drone just to get the footage and photos that I need. So for me, I'm used to this controller. Does everything I need to do. The only thing I'd like if had a slightly different, another wheel here, perhaps to move the camera left and right. But I do that with the drone anyway, so it's pretty cool. So that's a setup with the basic one battery setup that you get, or if you get the Fly More combo, you get this controller as well. Obviously with the other one you get the smart controller too. But again, I'm not going to go into all that. So as soon as I took off, I was smiling. It flies really well. It seems pretty quiet. Once it's in the air, it seems pretty quiet, so I'm impressed with that. I like the way it handles. It just felt good as soon as I took off, just like all the other drones, but it didn't feel heavy in the sky. It was really responsive. It's just a pleasure to fly. I almost phoned Mark straight away and said I love it straight away. Now, I've had my reservations about it, but like I said, I'm interested in image quality. So let's have a look at some of the footage now, and I'm going to combine the 5K footage compressed down to 4K for this video, and we're going to have a look at some 4K 50 video footage, and then 4K 50 slowed down 2 times. Have a look at that and then see what you think, and then we'll come back and talk some more. Okay, so I think you'll agree that footage is amazing. The 5.1K footage is stunning. The 4K is great. The 4K 50 slowed down 2 times. All brilliant. So for me, that's ticked that box. The image quality for video is exactly what I need from a drone like this. Really good. Now, everything you saw there was filmed in the standard mode, standard setting, colors and all that kind of thing. On top of that, you've also got D-Log, which is a bit harder to grade. So a lot of people may struggle with that to start with. It's just a shame they haven't included, I think it's Cine-like D and the high log gamma in there. That may well come with the firmware. So like I said, I'm not going to pull this apart until January, until all the firmware's come out and they've updated everything. But I think it definitely needs something in between the standard and the log version. So let's hope that comes along. So that's the video side of things taken care of. Really happy with that. And I can use that for clients, for stock, all that kind of stuff. So tick, that's done. Next one is photography. So of course I'm a photographer as well, so I need to know that this M43 sensor is going to produce some really good images, whether it's at daytime, whether it's at nighttime. I do a lot of property reviews, things like that, or property promotions. So it's good for me to know that these photos are going to come out well. So I found that they came out incredibly clear. I've also got the, like I say, the Air 2S. So obviously it's a comparison between those. But if you know what you're doing as a photographer, you should be able to get good shots. Now, the daytime stuff is a given for this, so that all of the photos I took during the day with this just came out beautiful. Obviously you can zoom in, you can crop to your heart's content. This is a 4/3 aspect ratio, so you may have to crop down to 16:9 to sort of fit whatever it is you're doing. But I found the photos to be really sharp, really good. Having the aperture is good. Now I'll give you a quick tip with the aperture. And I found this with the DJI X5 camera for the Inspire when I first got it, that the sweet spot for any aperture, it's like the holy grail of apertures, it's f5.6. What you have to remember is that with a cropped sensor, with a M43, it's like a 2x crop. So you have to double the aperture. So if you're shooting at 2.8, it's really kind of 5.6. If you're shooting at f8, it's the equivalent of f16. So you may get some kind of anomalies coming in. The more you put the aperture closed, the more you may get some diffraction kind of issues showing up in the, if you really examine it at 200% or something. So I would rarely go to f11 unless you haven't got a filter and you go out during the day and you need to do some filming. That's where f11 comes in really handy, because you can stop it right down and still get some good footage without having to increase the shutter speed too much. So a massive point of this, which is better than the Air 2S, for example, is the fact that you've got that changeable aperture. But really, I think the holy grail of apertures on here is f5.6. So if you can use that for most of your photography, whether you're going in close or far away, you're going to get some much clearer images. Now, I did compare it with two great big shots of Weymouth looking down, and also right to the back of Chesil Beach, which is a few miles away. And with the Air 2S shooting at f2.8, because that's all it's got, obviously everything in the front was really sharp, but as you went back, it got slightly more blurred. So the properties way off in the distance were kind of a little bit blurred. Doesn't matter, because most of the emphasis goes on the front. But when I took the same photos with this at either f5.6 or f8, then the clarity was there all the way through. Even the houses at the back you could see super sharp. So really happy with that. That's where it's going to excel over all of the other smaller drones that DJI makes. So that's a massive point with this. So as photography goes, it's a really, really good camera. So that's 2 boxes ticked. I can do my stock video, stock photography, all my commercial projects I can do with this camera and drone straight away. Now, I'll talk about night in a second, but another thing I want to touch on is the flight time. So I actually tested, when I first took it up at night time, there was a little bit of a breeze, and I landed at, I think, 51%, and I'd been flying for about 22 minutes, I think. So I was quite impressed. It was pretty good. I flew the other day and I was flying around filming and taking photos. I was doing quite some fast maneuvers, and I think I got 31 minutes before I landed at 20%. So if you wanted to push it to 15%, you'd probably get something like 33 minutes, 34 minutes. But generally, if you're doing normal kind of work, you'll get between 30 and 35 minutes flying. If you're just hovering, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get 40 minutes. And I can't see how you're going to get up to 46. But my theory is, and I think this is right, from all the videos I've seen and from my experience, it depends what you're doing, how long the battery's going to last. So if you're hovering, just taking photos, you're going to get close to 40 minutes, because it doesn't take a lot of battery power to take those photos and process the RAWs. So that's when you're going to get the most battery power. If you're doing what I was doing, you're taking a photo over there, flying over there, doing some filming in 5K, coming back and you're whizzing about, then I reckon 30 to 35 minutes. But if you're filming in ProRes, if you've got the Cine version and you're filming in ProRes, that takes a lot more energy from the battery. So I watched someone actually throw the drone up, film in ProRes, and had to land at 19 minutes. So he was filming ProRes all the time. So obviously with the rotors going, with maybe a little bit of wind, and having to record to the hard drive that ProRes file, then obviously you're going to get less. So that's really important to bear in mind. If you're going out filming with a client, it depends what you're doing. So use those as a kind of rough guide. Because if you go out with this thinking you're going to get 40 minutes filming ProRes for a client, and after 20 minutes you've got to land, it's not going to look good. So either get yourself a bunch more batteries, or just abide your time, or you know, kind of work out your time effectively based on those sort of figures. If you're doing a roof survey, one battery will probably do 3 or 4 houses easily. So I think the battery power on this is good, but obviously you can't expect to fly ProRes and get 46 minutes out of it. But I will say it's so good that I actually got bored flying it for a while, because I'd been up the sky so long and I'd done this whole area, photographs and videos, and I didn't know what to do, so I just landed. So battery power is really good. So let's talk about night stuff. Now, everyone talks about night photography and how good's the ISO, what's it like at really high ISOs. You don't always have to shoot and film in really high ISOs. And what I noticed with this, when I was doing photography in the sky, I was getting photos for 3.2 second exposures. So I was hovering in light wind, and you can see now that some of these photos taken with a 3.2 second exposure, I think I was on f2.8 on those ones, or maybe f4, but they came out amazingly sharp, really clear. The gimbal, the steadiness of the drone was just superb. Then I took some more at 1.6 seconds and 1 second. So when you're doing photos, and this was almost pitch black, just taking photos of a town. So if you're taking photos at night, try and stick to 100 ISO, because that's where the sweet spot is with ISO, where you want lack of grain, lack of noise and things like that. I did take it up to sort of 400 ISO and it was still super clean. So for photography, you're going to be okay as long as you're not flying in crazy. In fact, you shouldn't be flying in crazy winds at night over a town. So it's not going to happen. But I was photographing, like I said, really long exposures, and they were coming out fantastic. And of course, you take 3 or 4 or 5 photos. Some are going to go in the bin because they will come out blurred. But I was getting quite a good hit rate with the photography at night. So really impressed with that, and the colours from the Hasselblad camera are superb. When I compare it to the Mini, sorry, not the Mini, the Air 2S, big difference. So the colours are more natural on this, but they're very vibrant and very nice looking. So photography with this at night, I was blown away. And again, I think I shot a couple at night at 5.6 with a really long shutter speed, and the houses at the back were still really kind of pin sharp. Really impressed with that. Okay, so let's talk about video at night with the Mavic 3. Now, like I said, when I first got this, it was nighttime, so I had to take it out. I just wanted to get out and fly it. So I took it down to Weymouth, and after seeing what the footage was like at 6400 from someone else's review, I thought I'd set the ISO at 3200 and did a clip, as you can see on the screen now. And to be honest, it was fairly grainy. So I was kind of like, okay, well, how can we get around that? So I actually put it down to 1600, and you can see here where it changes just how much cleaner that is. 1600 ISO on this drone at night is brilliant. I was actually filming, the sun had completely gone down, so it was pitch black, and there's just no grain at all, no noise in there at all. So I want to give you a quick tip about filming at night now. The rule is that you basically, if you're shooting 25 frames a second, keep your shutter speed to a 50th. That's if you're filming in the daytime, because it gives you that kind of nice blur. It gives you the good, it just matches up really well. Now at nighttime, you're generally flying really slowly. So what I did on a couple of the clips that I used was actually brought the shutter speed down to match the the frames per second. So I was shooting at 25th of a second at 25 frames a second. So it matched perfectly. Nobody can tell the difference. And if you're flying really slowly, it's fantastic, and that gives you an extra stop of light. So I was filming, I think at, in some instances, maybe f4, and shooting at 25th of a second, so 25 frames a second, so it looks really good. So if you're struggling, here's some tips on flying this Mavic 3 at night. First of all, don't go higher than 1600 ISO. And it's so clean, why not just set it at 1600 first of all? And if you're filming at 25 frames a second, then maybe try 50 first, 50th of a second shutter speed first, and then maybe, if you have to, if you need the extra stop, bring it down to 25th of a second. But other than that, then fluctuate the aperture. If you're quite a distance away, then f2.8 will do you pretty well for nighttime, because it's a great big wide view, so everything's going to be in focus, or most of it's going to be in focus. The sweet spot, like I've said, is f5.6. So if you can fly at 25 frames a second, either 25th of a second shutter speed or 50th at f5.6, 1600 ISO, I think you'll see some of the best footage you've ever seen from a drone at night, because the M43 sensor on this at night is super clean. And you can see here that I matched it up with the DJI Air 2S, and I had to, if you see some of the cars on the right hand clip going backwards, it's because I had to reverse the clip. But you can see here on the left you've got the Air 2S, and on the right you've got the Mavic 3. So on the Mavic 3 I was at 1600 ISO, and on the Air 2S I was on 800. So because of the difference in sensor size with the Mavic 3 and the Air 2S, then I found that 3200 on this was grainy, and 1600 on the Air 2S was the same sort of grain or noise. As soon as I brought this down to 1600 and the Air 2S down to 800, then they both lost a lot of that noise and became quite clean. The only difference is that the color science from the Hasselblad camera is way better. So you can see on the footage that the color and everything is, and the dynamic range is much better on the Mavic. So you've got more detail in the shadows. Now, filming at night, everyone wants to bring out all the shadows where there's no light. Why would you do that? Because there's no light there. If you wanted light, you would add light. If there was moonlight, it might shine on the roofs and light them up. But if there's no light, there's no light. So don't try and pull back what's not there just to kind of make a point with apertures and cameras and things like that. So it all depends on what you're doing. If you're filming at night on set, they're going to have lighting anyway. But if you're filming cities at night, that's what they are. The light is what you've got. So don't try and pull out shadows where there's no real light there. But what I will say is this excelled at night, and the dynamic range is fantastic. I thought the Air 2S might be as good, but it's not. It's just good at photography because you can have a long shutter speed on the Air 2S and get some good photos. But for video, it's not as good. This absolutely knocked it for 6. So video at night with this, like I've said, if you can, even if you have to bring the shutter speed down to match the frame rate, fine, just do it. As long as you fly slowly, it's going to look fantastic. But yeah, really impressed with the video at night on that. Okay, so let's talk about this little camera on top of the main camera. And if it looks like this has just been dropped in somewhere, then it's true, because I actually finished filming. I offloaded all the footage onto the computer, shut everything down, realised I hadn't talked about that, and I think it definitely needs talking about. So the camera itself, when we first saw the previews coming out, the rumours and things like that, talked about a 7x 162mm lens camera. So it's a much smaller sensor. It's a 1/2 inch sensor, and the camera is basically designed just to be a kind of spotter camera. So I never really held out much kind of hope for it. So as a spotter, I think it's great, as for various bits and pieces. So I really wanted to test this to see what it's like. Now, a lot of people have been concentrating on the zoom factor of it. So zooming from one to the other, to 1x, to 2x, to 4x, to 7, to 14, and then to 28 times. It's not a zoom lens. A zoom lens is where you turn the barrel and the lens zooms. This goes from first of all, you're on the main camera 1x, 2x, the sensor is being cropped on the main camera in half. Then you're basically cropping more to 4x on the main sensor. Then when you switch to 7x, that's when it switches to the second camera up here. And the 7x is the native focal length of that lens, of that camera as well. So that's when you're going to get the optimal performance from this. And then it goes to 14x, so it's then cropping that tiny sensor by half. Then it goes to 28x and it's cropping that again. So you're talking about 1/8, I think it is, of a 1/2 inch sensor. So it's really rubbish. So if I was DJI, or if I wouldn't even have the option to zoom in, what I would have done is to have the main camera here, having all the goodness of that beautiful Hasselblad camera. This one I would have had just as a switchable 7x telephoto lens camera and left it at that. So you're filming with one, then you switch to that 7x multiplication and use that, because the 7x camera on here, the lens, it's almost usable. So I've seen lots of people talking about it just doesn't work, but you can see here on the screen what it looks like when we go from 1x, so we've got the 1x view there, then we go to 2x, then we switch to the 7x, and I'm not going to go to the 14 and 28, but on this clip you can see that I was filming the lighthouse over in Portland. This is where I actually use the sticks. So a lot of people rely on the set circle thing where you can set it in the drone, it'll do it for you. So again, like I said, I learned to use the sticks really kind of in a finely controlled manner. And you can see on this one now with this shot of the lighthouse that it was all done manually using the 7x camera. Now I've processed this and I've sharpened it quite a bit, And to be honest, on a smaller screen, it looks amazing. So if this is only ever going to be seen on a tablet or a smartphone, or maybe online on the internet on a computer screen, I think it's actually quite good. So this whole thing was done manually, and the stabilization at 7x zoom is incredible. I'll give it that. So the whole thing worked flawlessly, and that was my first shoot. That was my first chance of using this actual lens, and it just worked flawlessly. The drone was really kind of stable and it worked exceptionally well. So I want to show you another clip of a cruise ship in a second, but my point with this is that if you stick to that 7x and you're going to be using it for maybe a tablet or just something online as part of a drop-in, or maybe even a smaller square on a big screen that you're illustrating something, I think it's a really good camera. The other ones, the zoom, scrap them, take them out. They're just not worth toffee. They're good for searching for something. So if you're looking for some wildlife, use that camera. It works perfectly for that. But don't use it to film or photograph, because you just won't get any good results. But the 7x actually works quite well. Now, when it comes to, I'll give you a quick lesson on using the sticks. When it comes to actually doing something like that shot of the lighthouse, you know you're going to maybe do 2 or 3 takes. I did that in 1, luckily. But what you should do is, if you're going to start at this point here, filming here, so let's say your drone is filming that and you're going to start filming at this point, and you want to do an arc there about 90 degrees or 45 degrees or whatever it is. You just want to film like that. You want to get it from there all the way around to stop filming there. What you actually have to do is start flying round here. So it gives you time to adjust the sticks to get to a point where by the time you get to here, you've locked in those points on the controller. So what you do is, whether you're going one way or the other, you either have them both going in or both going out. So if they're both going in, on that first section where you're not actually filming or you don't need the footage, you slowly move them both in to the point where it's perfect. You can see that the object you're filming is staying dead center and it's doing this beautiful arc. And once you're there, push your thumbs down so it locks both of those in place, and then it'll just do the whole, you can stand there all day and it'll just fly around doing a perfect shot. Similarly this way, once you've found the perfect point, push your thumbs right down and lock it in place, and it'll just do perfectly. So using that lens, let's have a look at this cruise ship one now. Got up there this morning, there was some beautiful sun rays, but I got up to this morning to do some quick filming. Beautiful sun rays behind this cruise ship, put it on the 7x and just filmed it, and it worked really well. And again, I've sharpened it, so I hope it kind of looks okay in the review. But like I said, if you're showing it on smaller screens or outputting to 1080, I think it's almost usable. It looks pretty good. So, you know, yeah, it is what it is, but I wouldn't use anything other than the 7x, which is what it was designed to do. Otherwise, you're just doing what any other sort of camera does, cropping in on the sensor, and it's just not worth it. So let's talk about who this is for. If you're a beginner to flying drones and aerial video and photography, I would recommend getting the Air 2S. It's a fantastic drone, 5.4K video, a 1-inch sensor, takes fantastic photos, and even the nighttime photos I took with the Air 2S almost matched this, because obviously it held really well. I could do long exposures again. I could keep the ISO right down to 100 and use the f2.8 aperture. So the night photography with the Air 2S was almost as good as this. Just brilliant. It's a fantastic drone. So if you're just starting out, look at the Air 2S. If you're a hobbyist looking to maybe get into this in the future as a career, then I would look at getting the Fly More combo. You definitely need 3 batteries. I've only had 1, so each battery takes 90 minutes to charge. So I would recommend getting the Fly More combo. Learn how to fly this really well. You don't need ProRes, trust me, you will not need ProRes for at least a couple of years, unless you work on a big set straight away, which if you do, show me how you did it. But I would recommend getting the Fly More combo. Learn how to fly it, learn how to grade things using the log footage, and just enjoy it. I think it's a really good buy. And if you're an existing professional that's looking to get into this and take it a lot further, then if you think you're going to be going on to film sets, then I would look at the Cine version. So the only reason you would need ProRes, in my opinion, because on the normal standard version, the D-Log shooting at 10-bit is brilliant. You can grade that quite a lot without sort of losing any kind of image quality. So I think for most people, this would work, and you can grade that 10-bit footage really, really well. The only real reason I think you would need ProRes is if you want to really play some more and get really deep into the depths of that. But the main reason is if you're working on a set and the crew are using maybe a Red Dragon or an ARRI camera where they're shooting ProRes on the ground, they need whatever they've got in the sky to shoot ProRes as well, so they can match the colours a lot easier. they can use the same sort of log LUT, the lookup table, and use it on the same footage throughout, so they'll match it perfectly. So if you are thinking of getting into this, into a big part of your career, you're going to get maybe into the movies or making music videos where you're using ground footage as well, then the Cine version would bode you well, because like I say, you can match all the footage up. Okay, so I hope this has helped. I hope it's helped you to decide whether you want one or not, which one to buy, the kind of settings you should use when you're flying at night, for example. If it has, if you do like the video, please give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends, and do everything you need to do. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.